Hey, hello everybody. I just thought since I'm not going to see you um, until tomorrow and the test is tomorrow, I just thought I'd do the whole review sheet. So if you have a question on any one of the problems, that you can skip to those problems if you have a question. So I'm going to go kind of fast through this, but it'll give you an idea if you know what you're doing. So the first problem is the square root of 36. That is made up of two sixes, and for every two, you can take one out. So the final answer for number one is 6. Number 2, a negative root 24. It's 2, 2, and 3, which is kind of, whoops, forgot the other one. Another 2. For every 2, I can take one out. So there's going to be a negative 2 on the outside, and the rest of the stuff has to stay inside. So that's the answer for number 2. Number 3 is the square root of 48, which is made up of 16 and 3, which is 4 and 4 and 3. And then this is 2 2's and 2 2's. I can take out 1 2, and I can also take out another 2. So the square root of 48 is 4 root 3. Number 4 is a negative 2 root 24. 24 again is 2 2 and 2 and 3. I just did it over here on number 2. And remember, again, you're looking for 2 of the same thing, and for every 2, I can take one out. So for number 4, I can take out a 2, but look at, there's already a negative 2 out there, so that's going to give you a negative 4 on the outside with 6 on the inside. I know this is fast, but this is just for you to check to see if you're doing something wrong, what you might be doing wrong. So okay, so I looked this up. This is 4 times 684 is 4 times 171. This is made up of 2 2's, and this is made up of a 9 and a 19, which is made up of 2 3's. So I can take out a 2 and I can take out a 3, which is a 6, with the square root of 19 left over because 19 is prime. And number 6. 3 over root 2, I can't leave the radical in the denominator, so I have to multiply the top and the bottom by root 2. So it's 3 root 2 on the top, and for every 2 you have underneath, I can take one out. So those are the first 6 problems on your worksheet. Those are the answers to those. Okay, moving on. Number 7, whenever you see a fraction, make sure you break it up. This one's a quick one because the square root of 81 is made up of 9 and 9, and for every 2, I can take one out. So the square root of 81 is 9, and the square root of 25 is 2 5's, which ends up being 5 9's. I do not have to multiply the top and the bottom by anything because I can simplify the square root of 81 to 9. Number 8, I'm going to split it up into the square root of 4 and the square root of 5. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 5. For every 2, I can take one out. This ends up being the square root of 20 because 4 and 5 makes 20, but that can be simplified as 2 root 5 over 5. You have to make sure you simplify radicals until you can't anymore. Number 9 is the cube root of 81, which is made up of 9 and 9, which is made up of 3, 3, 3, and 3. Now we're looking for 3 of something. I can take a 3 out, but I have to leave a 3 inside. That's going to be marked wrong on the test. You got to make sure you put a little 3 there to know that it's a cube root problem for number 9. Okay, number 10, I'm going to go fast here. This is 36x to the 8th. 36 is made up of 6 and 6. I can take a 6 out, and I can take 4 groups out of 8's because for every 2, I can take one out. So number 10 is going to be 6x to the 4th. Number 11 is the square root of 180x to the 5th, which is 18 and 10, which is made up of 2, 3, 3, 2, and 5. Okay, that's kind of quick, but I can take out a 3. I can also take out a 2. So I can take out a 6, and I can take out 2 groups of x's. What's going to be left on the inside is just a lonely little 5 left over and a lonely little x left over. Number 12 is a negative root of 80, a to the 4th, b to the 6th. 80 is made up of 2, 2, 2, 2, and 5. 8 times 10 is 80. I went pretty fast, but I don't want this video to take 30 minutes. So I'm going to take out a group of 2's and a group of 2's. So there's going to be a negative 4 on the outside. I'm going to take out 2 A's and 3 B's with a lonely little 5 left over. Final answer for number 12. Number 13 is the cube root of 54. A to the 5th, B to the 6th. 54 is made up of 9 and 6, which is made up of 2 3's, a 2, and a 3. I'm looking for 3 of something. I can take out a 3, I can take out 1A, and I can take out 2 B's. What's inside my cube root is a lonely little 2 and 2 A's left over. And that is it. That is the answer to number 13. 14, break it up into the square root of 24 over the square root of 5. Multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 5. I'm going to have a 5 left on the bottom. 24 times 5 is 120, square root of 120. You have to reduce the square root of 120, which is 12 and 10, which is 2 and 5, which is 3 and 2 and 2. I can take at least a 2 out for the square root of 120. There's not enough 3's, not enough 5's, and not enough 2's, so that ends up being the square root of 30 for number 14. 2 root 30 over 5. You cannot leave the square root of 120 if you can reduce it. Number 15 is the cube root of 5 over the cube root of 9. 9 is made up of 2 3's. I have 2 3's, but I need 3 3's. That means I have to multiply the top and the bottom by the cube root of 3, because I need 3 of them to take 1 out. On the top is just the cube root of 15. I know this is going pretty fast, but you should be able to follow my work too in order to figure out what you're doing wrong. Okay, the next page, number 16. I to the 53, 17, I to the 86, 18, I to the 1,235. So all you're going to do is divide by 4. This is 13.25. Divide by 4, 21.5. And divide by 4, 308.75. You're really only looking at these decimals, and you're looking at the chart in the lower, or in the upper right hand corner. 0.25 is 1 out of the 4, and 1 out of the 4 ends up being I for number 16. 17 is 0.5, that means you have to be halfway down. If you're halfway down, you are 2 out of 4, which is a negative 1. And number 18, 0.75 means you have to be 3/4 of the way down, and 3 out of the 4 ends up being a negative I, if you look at the chart on the top right. Okay, number 19 is the square root now of a negative number. How do you do a negative root? You take it out, and when you take the negative sign out, it becomes the number I. 4 goes into there 31 times. 4 is made up of 2 and 2, so I can take a 2 out, but the 31 needs to stay inside. Number 19 is going to be 2I put 31. Number 20, same thing, the root negative 96. This is going to be 3 and 32. This is going to be 3 and 5 2's. You take the negative sign out, it turns into an I. I can take out one group of 2, I can take out another group of 2, that's why there's a 4 on the inside, outside, and there's a lingering of 3 and a 2 left. So number 20 should be 4I root 6. And 21, 2I times a negative 4I is a negative 8I squared. If you look at the upper right top of that, you know that I squared is the same thing as a negative 1. A negative 1 times a negative 8 ends up being a positive 8. Okay, the next ones, I'm not going to write the problem down. I'm just going to give you the answers for these next ones. I guess 23 and 24 I'll show my work, but 19, you add the reals, 4 plus 8 is 12, and you add the imaginaries, 5I plus 2I, 7I, final answer. 27 plus 4 is 11, 2I take away 5I is a negative 3I, final answer. 21, you subtract the reals, 5 take away 2 is 3, a negative 6I minus a negative 4I is a negative 6I plus 4I, which is a negative 2I. 3 take away 2 is 1. 2I minus a negative 6I is really 2I plus 6I, which is 8I. Final answers. Okay, the next one I want to show my work. You're not adding, you're not subtracting, you are actually multiplying. So you should show your work. 4 times 2, write down 8. Outside term, negative 12I. Inside term, positive 10I. Last two terms, a negative 15I squared. Remember that this equals a negative 1, so all of this makes a positive 15, and a positive 15 and 8 makes 23. Negative 12I plus 10I is a negative 2I. Final answer. And one more of those, 24. 2 minus 6I times 2 minus 8I. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times a negative 8I, negative 16I. Negative 6I times 2, negative 12I. A positive 48I squared. This makes a negative 1, so all of this ends up being a negative 48. A negative 48 and 4 makes a negative 44. And we can put these two together to make a negative 28I. Final answer. And 2 more problems. 25. So when you see this one on the test, the first thing you're going to do, the last couple of problems, the fraction ones, make sure you put parentheses around them. That's the first thing you do. Then you're going to make another set of parentheses after them. You're going to write down this exact same thing. The only difference is the plus sign changes to a minus sign. And whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. 4 times 2, 8. 4 times a negative I, negative 4I. That's the top. The bottom, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 2I, plus 2I, minus I squared is on the bottom. And since I changed the plus to a minus, the middle i's will cancel each other out. I squared is a negative 1, so a negative of a negative 1 ends up being a positive 1. So you're going to end up with 4 plus 1, which is 5 on the bottom. Final answer, 8 minus 4i divided by 5. And you cannot simplify that because none of those three numbers have anything in common with each other. The last problem on your review is a negative 3 over 5 minus I. The last couple of problems on the test, I need you to put parentheses around the top and the bottom, or the numerator and the denominator. And then you're going to make another set of parentheses. You're going to copy the 5 down, and you're going to copy the I down, and the 5 down, and the I. And the only difference is the negative sign changes to a positive sign. A negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15. A negative 3 times I is a negative 3i for the top. On the bottom, 5 times 5 is 25. A positive 5i, a negative 5i, and a negative I squared. Again, if you multiply by the signs being different, the i's will cancel out. I squared ends up being a negative 1, so a negative of a negative really equals a positive 1. So you end up with a negative 15 on the top minus 3i all over a positive 26. Again, none of those three numbers have anything in common with each other, so you cannot simplify them. Okay, we are done. If I were you, if you're having problems with any one of the 26 problems, is you can easily skip to those problems on the video, and then I think you should be ready to go for tomorrow's test. So we'll see some of you on Tuesday and some of you on Wednesday.